This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
The time right now is 4:27 here. It is Thursday morning. Thanks for joining our team here on Good Morning Indiana. We do have several stories to get to before we really get into our show today. And first want to start off with talking about the stages of reopening. We learned from Governor Eric Holcomb that the state will not fully move into stage 5 as originally planned for this weekend. We're sort of in an in-between phase. He's calling it stage 4.5. So we know that a number of things have been open at 50% capacity or 75% capacity. So basically what this is saying is we're not quite ready to be fully open with unlimited numbers yet. So they still have a cap on social gatherings at several different entertainment venues and those types of things. And this is just due to some concerns with the latest COVID numbers. We know around the country, those numbers have been spiking. We haven't really seen a spike here, so that is the good news, but they're still being just cautious as we wait for the numbers to come down a little bit more. And so let's take a look at some of the numbers right now. We know yesterday we had 8 new deaths reported and that we have some new cases, more than 300 new cases reported yesterday. But let's take a look at something that really matters, and that's the hospitalization capacity. We know right now that the ICU beds, we have at least 39% of those beds available. And something interesting to note, COVID patients only make up about 9.5% of the ICU capacity. The others are used for other people with other illnesses. We also know that we have more than 82% of our state's ventilators still available, so still looking pretty good in terms of hospital capacity and not overwhelming our system. So those are numbers we will continue to track here as the weeks move forward. Another story we have for you today has to do with our Call 6 investigates. Kara Kenny's really been putting the pressure on this issue, and that's to get the state to release the numbers for nursing homes related to COVID-19, where we're seeing the deaths, where we're seeing the spikes in those nursing homes. A lot of families have been reaching out to us, people in the community with elderly ones and loved ones there. And we know that they make up a number of the deaths in our state. So they will be releasing those numbers now and publishing the numbers in the nursing home data. So we'll have more on that for you coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana. We do want to take a turn right now away from COVID and bring in our own Todd Clausen to talk about our forecast for today. Todd, it has been pretty hot and sticky this week, and we're looking ahead to a holiday weekend. So what can folks expect?
You know, we did it yesterday, Lauren. We got to 90 degrees, and we'll probably get rates of 90 degrees today. And then for the foreseeable future, temperatures are going to be in the 90s. So we are starting a very hot stretch of weather that is going to continue. We've had real high humidity. That comes down a smidge, but with the temperatures going up a couple degrees, you probably won't really notice too much of a difference. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s this morning. The other thing that we did today, we took the showers out of the forecast. Yesterday it was just a stray storm. Today, no rain with a high of 90.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Indiana is largely holding steady. That's a good thing.
Well, the Hoosier State may be holding steady, but Indiana's not completely moving forward in the plan to get back on track. This morning, the reason behind that delay. Plus,
they were going to try and sweep this under the rug. We're not going to let them.
2 local women claim they were beaten following protests downtown this morning. Why their attorney says IMPD and the city are avoiding that case. It is 4:30 here on your Thursday morning. Thanks for joining us on Good Morning Indiana. I'm Lauren Casey. Todd Clausen is working from home this morning. Todd, good morning to you. What can people expect as they head out the door this morning?
Yeah, Lauren, good morning to you as well, and everybody at home on this Thursday morning right before the holiday weekend. And it's going to be a hot holiday weekend here across central Indiana. You notice the temperatures this morning are in the 60s and 70s, 75 still in Indy, 74 in Bloomington, some 60s to the north up in Peru, as well as Tipton and Muncie, 67 as well in Richmond. It's a nice quiet start to our day. Yesterday we had some visibility issues in the morning, but today that is not the case. You can see visibility unlimited there as you look from downtown to the north. As far as the sky cover goes, clear skies this morning will expand out, and you notice the clouds off to our west continue to erode, and that sets us up for a really, really hot day, but a sun-filled day for us. Look at the temperature already by the noon hour, 86 degrees. We're on our way up to a high temperature as we build in a few fair weather clouds this afternoon, Lauren, to 90 degrees. So make sure if you're going to be out and about, especially if you're exercising, that you drink plenty of water.
All right, Todd, thank you so so much. And here is a live look at traffic as you're heading out on the roads. I-465 at White River. You can see traffic is moving along up to speed, both eastbound and westbound there on the north side. We will continue to keep a close eye on your roads for your Thursday and let you know if there are any crashes or delays. But new from overnight, a woman shows up to a local gas station with gunshot wounds, leaving Metro Police searching for more answers. Officers were called to the Speedway at West 56th Street and High School Road just before 2 this morning on a person shot. Police say they aren't sure where the woman was shot, but it didn't happen at the gas station. The woman was taken to the hospital in serious condition. Information surrounding a suspect has not been released. Well, the state of Indiana will not advance to stage 5 this weekend as originally planned. Instead, we'll be at stage 4.5 with some capacity limits remaining in place for restaurant, bars, and entertainment venues. Governor Eric Holcomb says the decision to hold off on fully reopening the state is due to worries about a possible increase in COVID-19 cases. The governor points to rising numbers in more than half the states across the U.S.
That spread is not slowing down. It's just doing the opposite, and that's why you see a number of states that are actually, even though they maybe reopened recently, they're now going back and closing some of those facilities or closing parts of their economy. We don't want to find ourselves in that situation.
Well, Governor Holcomb says that the current restrictions will stay in place until at least July 18th. The state will continue its current 250-person limit on social gatherings. Since June 12th, restaurants have been allowed at 75% capacity in their dining rooms, while bars, nightclubs, bowling alleys, museums, and amusement parks have been open at half capacity. Well, now to the latest information on the coronavirus pandemic here in the state of Indiana. At this hour, the health department is reporting 8 new deaths from COVID-19. Since the pandemic began, more than 2,400 Hoosiers have died from the virus. The state also confirms 371 new cases of the virus. In total, nearly 46,000 Hoosiers have been diagnosed with COVID-19. And this morning, the state health leaders also say about 39% of Indiana's ICU beds are still available. COVID-19 patients are using 9.5% of those ICU beds. Non-COVID-19 patients are using 51% of the beds. According to the health department, a little more than 82% of the state's ventilators are still available as well. After months of pressure from Call 6 Investigates, Indiana will publicly release specific information related to COVID-19 cases in nursing homes. That includes where people are dying and where outbreaks are happening. Families with loved ones in nursing homes have asked for that information. Since April, Call 6 has been asking the state to publish data broken down by facility, but the state continually refused, citing privacy concerns. So it came as a surprise when the leaders changed their stance.
Recently, both the largest associations that represent long-term care facilities and AARP, who advocates for the residents in these facilities, have expressed their support of providing facility-level information. As we have all learned, responding to this pandemic requires us to continually evaluate our approaches and, when appropriate, to change them. This is one of those times.
In May, Call 6 Investigates filed a formal complaint with the state's public access counselor about the lack of transparency on this issue. The Family and Social Services Chief Medical Officer says that a dashboard of preliminary information should be made public around mid-July. A Catholic pastor up in Carmel is suspended from public ministry this morning after writing an inflammatory message about demonstrators. Father Theodore Rothrock referred to the Black Lives Matter protesters as maggots and parasites in a message posted Sunday on the St. Elizabeth Seton Catholic Church website. It's since been deleted. The Lafayette, Indiana bishop announced the suspension on Wednesday. He says other options for public ministry are being considered. Father Rothrock released a statement saying he did not intend to offend anyone. Talking about racism and racial inequality can be really difficult, and so RTV6 and our partners at Radio 1 hope to help change that. Watch our virtual town hall, a conversation on race connecting Central Indiana, tonight at 7 o'clock right here on RTV6 and on our digital platforms. It will also be simulcast on 3 Radio 1 stations. Just days after 2 women filed an excessive force lawsuit against IMPD, their attorney is speaking publicly about their case. Police arrested Ivory Westfield and Rachel Harding back on May 31st downtown after the city imposed a curfew related to protests. This was the scene shortly after the video of the incident showed officers hitting Westfield with nightsticks and pepper balls. On Wednesday, their attorney, Terrence Kennards, shared the pictures of the injuries that he says Westfield suffered during that arrest.
I submit to the community that if you've seen this video, Would you accept law enforcement beating an unarmed citizen, a 21-year-old female, leaving such damage to her body that we as a community would accept that as a communal standard, that innocent men and women in our community could be summarily beaten with billy clubs?
The prosecutor declined to file charges against the women. They are seeking damages in their lawsuit. The Indianapolis Office of Corporation Counsel says it does not comment on pending litigation. This morning, a deadly fire in southeastern Indiana is under investigation. It took 9 fire departments to extinguish the fire in Franklin County. Witnesses say this fire in Brookville could be seen and heard from miles away. According to the fire chief, fireworks played a role in starting this fire. This morning, the Franklin County Coroner's Office says the man killed, Donald Winters, was permitted to put on shows. He was known for putting on major displays for various events in the area. Firefighters say the building's location made it hard to battle.
The barn was fully involved when we got here. There's no hydrants out here. We had to tank water. That's why we had 9 fire departments here.
And I feel sorry for the family, and our prayers with all of them. They say there was 4 injured too, 1 death. So, you know, we've been praying for everybody.
Winters and the other 4 people injured were preparing for a show this holiday weekend.
It seems like our wartime president has surrendered.
Political jabs continue between President Donald Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Just ahead this morning, the latest on the battle for the White House. Plus,
you know, I appreciate you, my team, and this organization for backing me and supporting me with whatever decision I make.
will Vic be on the trip? This morning, one of the Pacers' top players talks about if he'll be joining the Blue and Gold in Orlando later this month. Todd.
And Lauren, yesterday our high temperature got to 90 degrees, and this is going to start a stretch of what will likely be a long period of 90-degree weather here across central Indiana. It definitely takes us all the way through the holiday weekend and into at least the middle of next week. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now, it's 4:38, and you're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV 6.
Hiring Hoosiers only on RTV 6.
Welcome back this morning. The family of a 20-year-old soldier missing since April believes partial remains found in central Texas are hers. Private First Class Vanessa Guillen was last seen on April 22nd in a parking lot at Fort Hood, where she's based. This morning, Army officials say they've identified 2 suspects in her disappearance. Officials say one is a civilian and the other is a Fort Hood soldier who died by suicide Wednesday. Guillen's car keys, barracks room key, and wallet were found in the room where she was working the day she disappeared. The Army has yet to officially identify the remains, which they say were found on Tuesday, 30 miles east of Fort Hood. Well, we are a little more than 4 months from Election Day, and this morning the race for the White House is heating up. As ABC's Inez de la Cotero reports, President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden are taking aim at each other over the state of the current affairs.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to worsen in many parts of the country, President Trump's struggling to explain how he plans to lead the nation out of this crisis, telling Fox Business.
I think we're going to be very good with the coronavirus. I think that at some point that's going to sort of just disappear, I hope.
The president also facing growing backlash for refusing to wear a mask, but now insisting.
I'm all for masks. I think masks are good. I would wear, if I were in a group of people and I was close.
You would wear one?
Oh, I would. Oh, I have. I mean, people have seen me wearing one, and I thought it looked okay. It looked like the Lone Ranger.
And on the foreign policy front, the White House grappling with new reports that accuse the Kremlin of paying Taliban fighters to kill U.S. troops in Afghanistan. Trump insisting the intelligence people didn't believe it happened and saying this.
I think it's a hoax.
His 2020 opponent blasting the president for not taking action sooner, both with regards to Russia.
If he was briefed and nothing was done about this, that's a dereliction of duty. He doesn't seem to be cognitively aware of what's going on.
And when it comes to the pandemic,
Donald Trump is in retreat. He called himself a wartime president. What happened?
This as a new Politico Morning Consult poll finds Trump's approval rating has dropped to 39%, with 59% of voters disapproving of the president.
The Trump team believes they haven't begun to define Joe Biden, and they think Biden's numbers will go down and Trump's numbers will go up. but he is operating from a massive, enormous hole.
Fundraising numbers reflecting that trend as well, with Biden and Democrats raising more than President Trump and the Republican Party in the latest round of numbers. Inez de la Cuetara, ABC News, Washington.
It's 4:44. A tell-all book by President Trump's niece can be released after all. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court temporarily blocked the book from being released. Yesterday, the decision was reversed. Mary Trump's book, titled Too Much and Never Enough: How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man, end quote, was set to be published on July 28th. With the restraining order vacated, the publisher of the book can continue printing copies. However, Wednesday's ruling leaves the temporary restraining order in place against Mary Trump herself. Robert Trump says the book violates a confidentiality agreement from the estate of the president's father. This morning, NAFTA is out and the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement has started. It takes over the North American Free Trade Agreement. The USMCA adds incentives to build cars and trucks here in North America. It also strengthens labor laws in Mexico, which could encourage American companies to create and keep jobs here in the U.S. The new agreement also includes new provisions for digital commerce, which did not exist in NAFTA. Here's a story you'll want to pass along. This morning, the FBI is warning about fraudulent coronavirus antibody tests. Investigators say the issue is twofold. First, the test results won't be accurate. Second, people's personal information will be taken. The FBI says scammers are asking for insurance and Medicare information, which can be used for identity theft. People should make sure that their test is approved by the FDA and be wary of ads on social media, email, and telephone. All right, let's get a check of our forecast right now. Todd, what are our rain chances as we head into our Thursday?
You know, I think the main headline is going to be the heat as we go into not only today, but into the holiday weekend. However, everybody kind of thinks rain chances when they think holiday weekend. So I'm going to start off with those for you. And they're really, really small. I want you to carry on with any outdoor plans you have and not curtail them because of any rain threat. Yes, there will be the chance of a stray storm here and there in the coming days. But for the most part, we are going to be dry. About a 20% chance of an isolated storm. That is one very isolated hit or miss storm. It's not really till 30 or 40% rain chances that you really have to start thinking about maybe altering your plans just a little bit. That's the view from downtown to the north. Can't see a whole lot now since the sun hasn't brightened the sky yet. But I'll show you that because the visibility yesterday was reduced a little bit. Not the case here on this Thursday morning. Temperatures, they're in the 60s and 70s. 75 in Indy, 74 in Bloomington right now. A little cooler to the north, 67 in Peru, Muncie, and Richmond at 67 degrees as well. Yesterday afternoon, you may have noticed the change a little bit. We brought in more of a northerly wind that did prevent the temperatures from warming. We still got up to 90 degrees yesterday, but it did start to drop the humidity just a little bit. And as you look at your day today, you see the temperatures warm into the mid 80s by the noon hour. By 5 p.m., we're at 90 degrees. It's another hot day. But when I showed you this graphic yesterday, the dew points were up in the 70 degree range. It's getting better. You notice we drop into the 60s and even some 50s by the middle of the day, and that's still due to a north wind. So while our temperature remains right around 90 degrees, we do not have the real steamy, hot, and humid conditions that we had earlier in the week. We just keep the heat around and not so much in the way of humidity. Skies are clear this morning. Back off to the west, you notice some clouds. They continue to fade away pretty quickly, and TrueCast shows us with mostly sunny skies throughout the day today. A stray shower chances off to our west. Sunset tonight is at 9:17. Temperatures will be in the 80s still. It's very warm. And then as we look ahead to your forecast for the 4th of July weekend, 92 tomorrow on Saturday as well, 93 on Sunday. 93 on Sunday with the chance of just a stray storm in the forecast. And then about a 20% chance as we continue with the 90s straight across the board from today all the way into the middle of next week. And Lauren, we probably will keep the 90s at least through the end of next week as we're in a pretty long stretch here, setting up at least for some very hot weather.
Well, all right, Todd, thanks so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads this Thursday. Here's a look to our southwest at I-465 near State Road 67. You can see traffic there is moving along just fine, both eastbound and westbound on the interstate. No crashes to report around the metro area at this early hour. Well, the Pacers are starting the month of July with workouts at the team's facility downtown. The NBA is scheduled to start its season on July 30th. Several questions remain about players who may not go to Orlando for the summer session. Pacers guard Victor Oladipo says he's still undecided as he continues to work his way back from that 2019 leg injury.
You know, I appreciate my teams and this organization for backing me and supporting me with whatever decision I make. But, you know, at the same time, I'm trying to focus on my knee and getting as strong as possible and seeing where I'm at. So, it's, like I said, I'm taking it one day at a time. And hopefully I can make a decision soon. See.
Well, the Pacers are scheduled to leave for Orlando in 1 week. They'll be sequestered in the NBA's bubble on the Disney World campus for the duration of their trip.
I hope it's a sign of things to come because I think it's going to be a great event.
He's back at the Brickyard. Kevin Harvick is looking to add to his resume at IMS. The exclusive interview still ahead when RTV6 heads trackside. Plus, still trying to make any 4th of July plans? Well, right now on the RTV6 mobile app, we've posted a list of cities planning fireworks shows for the weekend. Your time right now is 4:50. Stay with us. You're watching Good Morning Indiana right here on RTV6. Well, when it comes to driving in Sunday's Brickyard 400, no driver in the field will feel at home quite like Kevin Harvick. Sports director Dave First with an exclusive one-on-one in this Trackside 6 report.
It's back to the bricks this weekend for Kevin Harvick, the two-time Indy champ, eyeing a 3rd and honestly wouldn't mind a shot at 4 someday, following in the footsteps of that other 4-time winner from Bakersfield, California.
Kevin, growing up, every time I heard Bakersfield, I would think of Rick Mears. Nowadays, when kids think of Bakersfield and racing, they think of you, right?
Well, you hope so. And I've been going through a lot of stuff over the past couple months, and I've found a lot of those childhood items that I've had, and I'll send pictures of them to Rick. And so hopefully, I'm probably annoying him at this point, showing him all the old autographs.
And this weekend, the two worlds come together as the Speedway hosts the first NASCAR IndyCar doubleheader, all under the watchful eye of track owner Roger Penske.
So what do you think of this IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader, and is this the sign of things to come, do you think?
Well, I hope so. It's a huge step for racing. I hope it's a sign of things to come because I think it's going to be a great event.
Unfortunately, it'll happen without fans in the stands, a scenario NASCAR has successfully pulled off since mid-May. Plenty to adjust to, staying safe but staying competitive.
Harvick wins.
Heck, even when it comes to post-race celebrations, after Kevin dominated NASCAR's return with a win at Darlington.
Got out and stood on the car, and then I realized, I'm like, man, I feel like a complete idiot standing here celebrating with myself. I don't know that there's a more arrogant situation that you could possibly have than celebrating yourself with yourself by yourself. So yeah, that was the end of that.
Even the photos in Victory Lane are a little different. It's the hope that one day soon celebrations like this can happen again for team owner Tony Stewart and especially for the Harvick family.
The photos are way more important than the trophy, I'll be honest with you. So, you know, to have that photo of Piper and Keelan and Delana and myself standing there with that trophy, looking back at the racetrack in the front straightaway is something that is priceless for me.
The photos are adding up, and for guys from Bakersfield, that means the wins are too. Dave First, RTV6 Sports.
All right, thank you, Dave. It's going to be a hot one out there at the track here over the course of the weekend for all the drivers and their crews, but they'll get all the races in. That's the good news. Just some small chances of stray storms as we get into Saturday and Sunday, but the big story, the heat. Look at the 90s straight across the board on our 7-day planning forecast. Yesterday was 90. Today we should get back there. 91 on Friday, then low 90s continue all the way through Wednesday of next week. The time now is 4:57. We're back in just a couple minutes. Stay with us right here on Good Morning Indiana.